not having their first choice front rowers available, it was going to affect the Warriors. But hey, that's the comp. Again, everyone has injuries, suspensions.
I think he got caught out with a couple of young halfbacks that didn't really know that. You should have really shrunk the field and gone through the middle of the pitch and stopped worrying about trying to get around them.
It was on TikTok, and it's not a good representation of reality, is it?
What is the young people? Why stop? Get a life back. Reject TikTok. Get your life back.
Welcome to the DSPN.
Team New Zealand's in trouble.
He's done it again, Ricky Herbert.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. BLT, not bacon, lettuce, tomato. It's Big League Tuesday. Martin Devlin, Lachlan Waugh on the DSPN. If you're listening on Rover, or wherever you find your favourite apps, Rover, Spotify, Google, Apple Play, you get the full show. We put it out every afternoon. Headlined by Tony Kemp today, former Warriors coach, very proud Kiwi, played 25 tests for us in professional league in both hemispheres. Joel Gould from AAP previewing Origin. First game tomorrow night as well, and Matt Gunn, Bulldogs getting absolutely spanked. 44 points the Dolphins put on them, so plenty to talk about. As well as that, we will, as always, because we're talking league on Tuesday, do glass half full and begin the show every day the same way.
Marty sermons brought to you by WebWonks. Generate online leads with WebWonks. Doctors for your Google data.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
A truncated round 13 in the NRL, and a round of upsets it was too. First up, the 14th place Dolphins that's thrashing the table-topping Dogs 44-8. The Dogs came in on a 4-match winning streak. The Dolphins had lost 3 of their last 4. Injuries, suspensions, Origin abstentions. Blame what you like. The Bulldogs were a sorry second best all night. They paid for it. Then the Eels, who were 16th, dumped Manly, who was 6th, 30-10. Again, comprehensive. And if you didn't know any better, if you hadn't followed the comp up until that point, both those games, you'd think the Dolphins and the Eels were the top 8 teams and not the other way round. Back-to-back wins for the Eels too. Mark that down. Next night, the Knights beat Penrith 25-6. The surprise, not so much 15th beating 13th. The Knights, having had lost 6 of their previous 7, were 1 week away from sacking the coach. But I think the surprise was more that the Panthers, 7th loss in 11 games. Get that. Penrith statistically now need to win 9 of the last 15 just to make the 8. And that would be 12 wins and 1 draw. So it might not even be enough. From here on in, they've got to win 2 out of every 3 just to finish 8th. And we know no one has ever won the comp finishing outside the top 4. Maybe they could be the team that could do that. So again, if you're just judging on the numbers and historical implications thereof, does this suggest the 4-time winning premiers are already out of the running this year? In sport, they always say the numbers don't lie. Well, if that's the case, is it already time to say Penrith goodbye? That result then followed by the Roosters in 11th, smashing the Sharks, who were 5th, 42-16. The Sharks had just beaten Melbourne and won 4 of their last 5, but who cares about that? Who cares about whatever the stat? Again, the underdog just demolishing the favourite. So all 4 of the first 5 round 12 games went against the team expected to win. And then Sunday, last game of the round, the Warriors lost for the first time since April the 13th. Not really an upset. 2 versus 3 on the table going into that game. Canberra had won 4 of their previous 5. The only loss, a narrow one to the Storm. In no way is this a disaster for the Warriors. It's a close loss. But a game, to be fair, they did relinquish control of. The Raiders were the better team on the day. I think it's hard to argue against that. And at some point, not having their first choice front rowers available, it was going to affect the Warriors. But hey, that's the comp. Again, everyone has injuries, suspensions. You just deal with it. I think for the Warriors, it's important to remember the club was on a 5-match win streak before Sunday. 4 of those wins, Dolphins, Dragons, Cowboys, Broncos, were by 4 points or less. Such is the nature of the NRL. Close wins, close losses. Losing, we know, like winning, can also, though, become a habit. No, it is not time to panic. But most important thing now is obviously to bounce back Sunday with a much better performance. Tough game, away the Rabbits.
Devlin.
Big League Tuesday, Lachlan. It's time for your favourite game.
Glass half full.
Well, I present scenario situations to you. Teams, players, potential, and you tell me.
Yes!
Whether you're glass half full, glass half empty. Warriors, let's kick it. Losing to Canberra 16-10, 5-match win streak over. Sitting there third on the table, second equal on points, and still a nice, healthy 4-point buffer to to the 5th place Sharks. So, glass half full, glass half empty. It's got to be glass half full. I mean, I'm not actually concerned about this loss. I mean, what kind of perspective do you put on it?
No, you can't be concerned at all because they've lost to a good team. The Raiders have been a surprise package in many ways to start the season.
And it wasn't like we got flogged like we did in Vegas, right? It wasn't like,
No, it was much more competitive. Look, okay, I think as much as we really ripped into the Warriors after that loss in Vegas.
They deserved it. They played
did
like rubbish,
deserve
mate.
it, but it's a little bit like when the NFL teams go to London, I think, that when you go overseas and there's big travel involved and it's a massive trip and all this, this expedition, I think it can sometimes skew the results in an unrealistic direction. Now we're seeing that a little bit with Penrith, who looked good in round one and haven't been that great this year, have they?
No, not done. That's insane.
But I think I never thought the loss was I can't say I never thought, but now I don't think that loss was a accurate representation of the Warriors and where they're at and their fortunes this year. Then again, on Sunday, they were, I would say, outplayed, but the Raiders were the better side.
Yeah, the Raiders were the better side.
And defensively, I thought the Raiders were very, very good, particularly in the second half.
Yeah, they did shut us down.
Yeah, they did. And that is obviously a sign of a team with plenty of belief and plenty of desire, and a team that I think for the most part is well coached. And the Warriors there were a few areas that they needed to probably brush up in.
Well, discipline on the Raiders was a bit questionable.
Yeah, no, well, it was one of those niggly contests, but it's not.
They go high, and I don't care what Ricky Stewart says. He calls it aggression. They go high, don't they? Yeah. The Raiders. They go. They go looking for it.
There was the
don't they?
moment where three guys launched themselves into one tackle, and Tarpany was just kind of without looking. I think this is what he's been pinged for. Just kind of went in with his shoulder. I can't remember the Warriors player he hit, and Aaron Clark really blew up after that. So they just launched themselves into these tackles. Mm-hmm. But back to the main point. No, the Warriors. There's nothing to be worried about after that at all. You've been beaten by a team that's in good form,
right,
but
agreed.
Obviously this is like any team. This isn't just a Warriors thing. It's any team. You run the risk of obviously going on a slide if you let that loss sort of fester in your mind.
Well, look, the key to it now, and these 4 games before the bye: Dolphins, Raiders, Rabbits, Sharks. 3 out of the 4 would be brilliant. 2 out of the 4 could probably live with. The Rabbits are not going to be easy. But they're going to, whether Latrell plays, I don't know whether he plays. Does he come back from Origin and play that game? And then the Sharks after that before the bye, and then the Panthers. So it's a crucial run of games coming. Let's talk about the Panthers.
Well, just quickly, there's a very good chance that pretty much anyone who's healthy backs up. It's unlikely.
Well, they do. That's what they do in the NRL, don't they? It's incredible. In rugby, you've got to sit down for 6 weeks after you play, of course, because you're on All Black duty. But, as far as the NRL goes, they play the most massive game on Wednesday. And then these sods turn up on Friday, Saturday and Sunday for their clubs.
I know. I thought by the analysts and the
biomechanics and everything else,
sitting on the sidelines that have degrees, but
all those tapping away on their keyboard. He can't play. This guy can't play for another 6 months. He's just played a game of rugby.
It's not good for the human body to play back-to-back games.
They turn up because
it
it's in here. That's why they turn up. Panthers. Let's look at that. Yes! And when you look at the stats, and this is, I think, what is going to be fascinating with Penrith from this point on. 3-1-7 they are. They are bottom of the table on 9 points. Forget all of that. Okay. What they've got to do to now just make the 8, which is, as I say, right at the beginning of the show, winning 2 out of every 3 games. That's to make the 8. That's to get into 8th spot. No team has won outside the top 4 since this format has been introduced. Glass half full, glass half empty. That Penrith could be that team. Because if they had all of their players fit at the right time of the season, can they play an extra game? Doesn't matter whether it's away from home, because they're playing all their games away from home at the moment, people. They're not playing in Penrith, right? They're playing at Bankstown Park or wherever it is in Canterbury. What's the park?
Bankwest and Parramatta.
There you go.
Bankwest? Combank. It was once called Bankwest, I think. Combank. It's got a new sponsor. It's called
today. But they're playing in Parramatta, so they're not playing Penrith. So all their games are away from home anyway. Oops. The lights just went out on Penrith, just like they went out on us. So are they capable? Give it a glass half full. Are they capable of making the 8 for a starter?
Well, yes, for sure.
Because they're Penrith.
Look,
you wouldn't say this about any other team,
but even from a numbers perspective, 3-1-7 is not a great record, but it's not fatal.
Yeah, but that means
you can come back from 3. So there's 13 games to play. Now, for the most part, over the last 20 years or so, maybe even 25 more than that, 12 wins. If you get 12, you're in contention in that last week at least. 13 is a safe area to be in over the last few years. Brisbane got 13 wins, and I've brought this up a number of times. 13 wins a couple of years ago, they missed out. But then the year prior to that year, the Titans were the 8th seed, and they only won 10 games.
10 games, that's right. Yeah.
So it varies. I think if I'm Penrith, if you want to sit there, you like to think the club's not doing this. If the fans are sitting there and they want to work out, run the numbers, do all the maths and whatnot, you'd need to get to at least 13. Because if they get to 13, they're 13-1
I'm looking at 22, 23, 24. Last year, 12 and 12 got there. Raiders missed out on a point stiff, right? Both the years 23, 22 was 13 wins. And as you say, 8th place in 2021 was 10 wins. So they can make the 8, as you say. I mean, I think I got my numbers wrong. They've got to win out of the 13 games. They're going to have to win, another 9 games.
Well,
That's a hell of an ask.
I think you need to win 10. That's what you need to aim for. Because if you're winning 9, then you get to 12, you're 12-1 and 11.
Yeah.
Then you're worrying far too much about what everyone else is doing.
Glass half full, can they make the 8?
Well, they can. There's a difference between can they or can they or
And
will they?
Then glass half full, glass half empty. If they make the 8, let's presume they make the 8.
No, they're not winning the premiership.
They're Penrith, mate. They've won 4 in a row. I'm not asking about any other team apart from Penrith.
The juggernaut, the powerhouse that is Penrith, are currently bottom of the table. It's all well and fine to say it's Penrith. It doesn't. There's a reason teams haven't. No, there's a reason teams haven't won the grand final outside the top 4. You can get to it. There's 3 teams since 2009. So Parramatta famously did it in 2009, where they were the 8th seed. Many teams outside the top 4 can make the grand final, but when they get there, they always fall short.
Well, they've played a game extra, and it's just
you're on the road the whole time.
I think what's happened with Penrith, and far be it from me to be the expert on this, but I think that at one stage they were heralded as having almost 40 players, right? That they could pick pretty much 2 teams. Over the years,
you better not say what I think you're going to say.
Well, over the years, I think
it's the thing that I said pre-season.
Well, I think what's happened is losing those players is starting to catch up with them. I wonder now.
Come on! I've said this all year.
Well, I'm starting to wonder whether or not, instead of having even 25 to 30 players, they've actually got 17
Can you do
to
me a favour
25
and give me
players.
my brain back and stop watching DSPN from February?
Well, mate, you said it, but you also were blowing hard about the Broncos, and people put it all in the same bucket.
A lot of people were blowing hard about the Broncos. You were blowing hard about the Roosters, even though they lost a ton of players.
I don't think they're better side, are they?
The Roosters?
Yeah.
No, well, this year's like a...
They're 5 and 6. It's not that bad.
It's a transition year. They've lost experience. They're relying on young kids.
Well, anyway, the question is
back to
glass
Penrith.
half full. Can Penrith win it all?
No, I don't think that. But to your point, that yes, I think that it is catching up to them. But also, you've got to factor this in that they made the grand final 5 straight years, and over that period, well, they have the last 5 years. They could make a 6th. Who knows? They have obviously got a number of players who play representative football. There's also been a World Cup in that stretch. A lot of them play Origin, blah, 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 play Test for the Kangaroos. The core of this team, so Isaiah Yeo, Nathan Cleary, Liam Martin, Dylan Edwards, all these guys, obviously some that have left the club now, they've all got extra mileage on their bodies. Now, they haven't played
almost an extra season.
Well, it feels like, and you factor in the finals games they've had, it's probably like an extra 20 games of high-level rugby league. So I think their bodies are wearing down as well, which is why, why Cleary keeps getting injured. Glass half full, glass half empty on the round of upsets. Take out the Warriors game, which wasn't really an upset, but Dolphins winning, Eels winning, Knights winning, Roosters winning. You half full or half empty on that? Well, from what perspective?
From the perspective, it's better for the competition.
Yeah, it is. But I thought the Dogs would lose because they're missing players. Though, granted, if you look at the number of players that are out through injury and suspension in Origin, I think that they and the Dolphins both have the same number. The Bulldogs have more high-level players out. My tipping column, I tipped the Dogs to lose, and I tipped the Panthers to lose. So I thought they would. I did not think the Roosters would smack up the Sharks in that manner. Mm-hmm. That was quite shocking. And Parramatta as well, I didn't think would happen because they don't have Mitchell Moses.
But are you glass half full, glass half empty on this is what happens in Origin round? Is it good for the competition? Because otherwise, ordinarily, if those teams were all full strength, they probably would have won.
I'm glass half full, but it happens. So it's not as if I'm looking at something that doesn't often happen and I'm getting excited about it. The one thing, though, that often happens during the Origin period, the opposite of what happens to my Broncos, is that the Warriors go in a bit of form and win some games, and they didn't win on Sunday. So that's interesting.
Let's talk about your Broncos, who, and this is the weirdest, didn't play, and you moved into the 8.
Yep.
So
9th to 8th.
Glass half full for the Broncos.
Glass half full. We got 2 points and we're into the 8.
You're into the 8.
We didn't play, which obviously makes...
Loss, win. loss, buy. You want to keep dialing up them buys, don't you, eh?
Yep, I'm loving the buys right now. I was against 2 points for the buy. I'm totally on board with it now.
Just bring it.
So on board
Absolutely.
with it. I'm truthfully going to be glass half empty on this team for a very long time and it's not even just they start winning games, but it's putting together strong performances where defensively they are steady and stable and their line is not being bent, and on attack they're not dropping the ball and throwing stupid forward passes and dumb obstructions, which what they're doing so much of right now. The moment that they actually polish up their performances and not only win but actually look good, that's when I'm going to start to be positive about my Broncos.
A couple to go. Glass half full, glass half empty on the Rabbits, who the Warriors played this
Glass
week.
half full. I'm so high on the Rabbits this
6
year.
and 5.
Them and the Roosters. I'm really high on both of them.
Loss, win, bye. That's the last 6 games for the
That's
Rabbits.
6 points in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, but one of those wins was against Brisbane. Obviously, they got beaten pretty badly by Newcastle in Magic Round. So then they beat Brisbane. Who did they beat? Not last week, but the week before.
Let me look.
Good research going on here.
The
Tigers. Yes, they did. It was the last
22-12.
game on a Sunday. Yeah, beat the Tigers. No, I'm glass half full on the Bunnies. The issue with them at the start of the year was they were missing a number of key players. And a lot of those guys are back now. And Latrell's back. And Latrell, obviously, for the last few years, there's been such a big question mark over his health. It's always murky because you never know how long he's going to play for.
He's playing bloody well at the
He's
moment,
playing
mate.
well. He single-handedly, pretty much, beat
Brisbane,
my beloved Broncos.
yeah.
So...
Both defence and attack. He was magic that night.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. No, I'm glass half full on the
half
Bunnies,
full?
but the big thing is it's because of their coach. You cannot discount, and you should never do it, even when he's buried in the ground, and, hopefully that's a little while away, but even when he's in the ground, Wayne Bennett, at that point, you still got to be glass half full on him and his ability to coach, because a dead Wayne Bennett is probably better than half the blokes coaching in the NRL still right now.
Let's finish on Origin. Glass half full, glass half empty. New South Wales tomorrow night.
Oh, glass half full. I think they'll win. Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll win. I think they've got... New South Wales, we've said this for years. They've got more talent. They've got more depth. The one thing holding them back, which I think I said last week, and I think you agreed with me, is the change in coach, because Laurie Daly's record as New South Wales coach isn't the best, and Madge obviously did a great job with that team last year.
I just wonder tactically whether or not he's actually got the...
Well, I don't think Origin is about tactics.
Well, everyone says it's not, but
it's
I think
about
that's...
moulding talent and letting them do their thing.
But I think it's... Look, there was a period last year in Origin, and you will remember this, and it was really crucial in the second half, and... it was Joey Johns on the sideline, and it might have been Brad Fittler as well. And they went to those two guys on the sideline.
It was Joey, yeah.
It was the best piece of commentary I'd heard in years from either rugby or league, any analyst on the sideline. And he was there and he was pinpointing, he's saying, these guys here are gassed. They've got to come this way, whether it was left or right, I can't remember.
This is what needs to happen.
This is what
about
needs,
a minute later, it happens.
And he actually I think he put the onus on Moses, wasn't he? He said he's got to take control of the game. And like a minute later... it actually happened. Yeah. And so I thought, there is tactics involved in this. There's got to be game nous involved in this. It's more than just rah the players in the dressing room and giving it the old Queensland. And so that's why I'm not doubting Laurie Daly. I just doubt whether he's as good a coach as, say, Madge Maguire is as a coach.
Are you saying Madge is a good coach?
Well, of course he is, mate. He was bloody good for the Kiwis. He's won a premiership with Souths. It's not his fault that your Broncos are a bunch of...
No, it's not. I agree. It's the
bunch of
pansies
Broncos.
wearing our
mate, it's the
jumpers.
pretenders is what it is wearing those jumpers.
This will roll you up as much as it rolled me up. I saw it, and it was on TikTok, and it's not a good representation of reality, is it?
What is the young people? Why stop? Get a life back. Reject TikTok. Get your life back.
It was a post that was listing the 5 greatest Broncos players of all time, and guess who number 5 was?
You'd better not tell me it's Reece Walsh. You'd better not. Who would put that as a serious piece of analysis? Really?
I think
I'm not even prepared to talk about that. I'm not even prepared to talk about that. That is just rubbish. That's garbage. Glass half full, glass half empty. Finally on Queensland. Munster.
Glass half
Munster.
middle. Glass half middle.
Munster makes a huge difference, mate.
Yeah, he does.
Big Tino.
I think intangibly as much as tangibly. I think Tino's a huge one. Because obviously he's had some health concerns over the last year or two, maybe over the last year.
Those two players bring it a lot closer to me. A lot closer to me. I mean, I was boasting. I was saying New South Wales was going to win this 3-0 and all of that. I think New South Wales will win this.
It partly depends on Payne Haas, who's under a little bit of an injury cloud.
And
not as big a cloud as Crichton. But if Haas plays, obviously the battle of he and Tino is like two titans just fighting it out like in Greek mythology or something. But Queensland have... the forwards, they've got probably the match day squad. They don't have the depth, which doesn't really matter when it comes to a single game of Origin. Obviously, they have the belief it'll be a raucous Lang Park, which is what you want when you're Queensland. They always beat New South Wales, I think, in that department, the belief side of things, the underdog mentality.
Yeah, they love it.
We need to show the big city kind of thing.
Mate.
And they also have the rest of the country behind them, the rest of Australia. because everyone hates Sydney.
Everyone hates
New
Sydney.
South
Everyone hates
Wales.
New South Wales.
And so everyone backs Queens. Oh, I think they do at least.
You get a hell of a game like that to be able to lock in and watch. It's just superb, isn't it? I love this time of year.
Well, not for us because we have to get up early.
Apart from that bit.
Yeah.
This is the DSPN.